Hi friends, we hope you are enjoying Series 1, The King and His Bride, a Heavenly Reunion. As we continue on with our next video, we come to the Kiddushin, where marriage begins with sanctification. Let's now explore what this means and the significance it has for us today. Biblical marriage does not begin with romance, cohabitation, or consummation. It begins with holiness. To understand marriage rightly, we must recover the Hebrew concept of Kiddushin. Kiddushin reveals that marriage is first a covenant of sanctification, publicly ratified and morally binding before intimacy, dwelling, or consummation. And it mirrors God's covenant relationship with His people. This pattern governs Scripture's portrayal of redemption. God calls Israel His betrothed wife while in the wilderness. Christ calls the church His bride before the wedding supper of the Lamb. Paul says believers are betrothed to one husband at the Last Supper. Jesus takes the cup and declares, "This is my blood of the new covenant." Covenant is established. Dwelling and celebration await fulfillment. Kiddushin comes from the Hebrew root qadash, meaning to set apart or to make holy. It establishes a woman as exclusively belonging to one man and forms the marriage covenant legally and spiritually before the couple lives together or engages in sexual union. Marriage begins with holiness, not physical relations.
In practice, Kiddushin was ratified over a shared cup of wine with blessing. Wine signifies covenant joy, shared participation, and solemn obligation. By drinking from one cup, the couple publicly testified that a binding covenant had been established under God's authority. Kiddushin establishes the covenant of holiness and faithfulness, which the Ketubah records and safeguards by detailing the groom's obligations, provision, protection, honor, and inheritance to be fulfilled at Nisuin, the completion of the marriage. The seriousness of these obligations was guaranteed by the Malha bride price, testifying that covenant is backed by life itself. Jesus fulfills this covenant pattern by offering His own blood as the price of the new covenant, preserving the possibility of redemption and restoration even after betrayal, something remarriage would permanently destroy. Once Kiddushin occurs, the woman is a wife and the man a husband. Sexual unfaithfulness at this stage is adultery, and ending Kiddushin requires divorce, not casual separation. Divorce regulates covenant breach by dissolving the unfaithful parties' claim to the promises of Nisuin dwelling, provision, inheritance, and covenant fulfillment. But it does not annul the covenant itself, leaving room for repentance, forgiveness, and restoration. Nisuin completes the marriage through dwelling and shared life. Sexual union belongs within this reality as a sign and seal of a covenant already established, not its source.
For those who belong to Christ, this teaching is not abstract, it is personal. We are a people already betrothed, set apart by covenant, awaiting the return of our bridegroom. The faithfulness Christ shows to His bride defines the faithfulness He calls us to live. Holy before fulfillment, obedient before reward, and steadfast even when covenant is tested. For those considering betrothal, Kiddushin stands as a sacred warning and a holy invitation. Marriage is not something entered lightly, tested casually, or defined by desire. It is a covenant made before God, witnessed publicly, and upheld by life itself. To enter Kiddushin is to place your future, your faithfulness, and your word on the altar of covenant responsibility. For those already betrothed, this teaching calls for reverence now. Faithfulness is required before completion. Holiness must guard what has been promised. Covenant love is proven not at consummation, but in obedience, restraint, and devotion while waiting. Through Christ, the ultimate bridegroom, we see what covenant faithfulness truly costs and what it truly redeems. He did not abandon his bride when she was unfaithful. He gave his life to restore her. In this, marriage becomes more than a union between two people. It becomes a living witness to God's redeeming, covenant-keeping love. The question before us is not whether we understand Kiddushin, but whether we are willing to live as covenant people, faithful, sanctified, and ready for the bridegroom who is coming.